fair value of Bitcoin today is around 52, 53,000. So the fair value will go from low 50s to, let's call it an even 100K. To date, probably our biggest investment actually is Bitcoin itself, Liquid Protocol. We bought it in 2018. We've never sold any of it. We won't sell any of it for a long time. And we view it as a venture capital investment.
As the founder and CEO of Morgan Creek Capital Management, Mark Yusko sees opportunities to invest in the new wave of growth. Last month, ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood is reportedly predicting a more than 2,100% increase in the total market capitalization of cryptocurrencies in less than 7 years. Yusko's price targets have mostly stayed in the six-figure range. He called a $1 million price target that is often used by Cathie Wood and some others as feasible, but doesn't see it happening in the next 2 to 5 years. Despite the incredibly volatile September month for the crypto market, the Bitcoin price trend puts a positive end to this month. Bitcoin has managed to register a nearly 65% YTD growth in 2023. The Bitcoin halving event gained popularity and eyeballs given the turnaround in the Bitcoin trading price following it. The next halving is around the corner and investors are anticipating a Bitcoin price rally. Bitcoin bulls see halving as an event to bring Bitcoin prices to unprecedented levels, as mentioned earlier. With a price target of $100,000 by mid-2024 and $300,000 by the year 2028, Yusko is among those who see a strong return for the leading cryptocurrency for investors who take a position or add to their stakes today. He believes Bitcoin could be 10x higher from current levels as it replaces gold, which is currently valued at over $5 trillion as the currency standard. Let's direct our attention towards the few clips from interview.
I'm a hyperbolic personality, right? My wife tells me all the time, frequently wrong, never in doubt. I'm occasionally wrong, never in doubt. Cathie makes me look conservative. So I love the fact that I can be on after her and people will say, oh, that's very conservative, even though it'll sound like a big number. So look, the fair value of Bitcoin today is around 52, 53,000. You say, well, where's that number come from? Well, Metcalfe created this law, an MIT professor. Bob Metcalfe created this law called Metcalfe's Law to value networks. And any network can be valued based on the number of participants and the connections in the network. So based on a Metcalfe's Law model, this guy, Tim Peterson, who's a buddy of mine, he'll calculate the fair value based on that concept. It's around 52, 53,000. So in 9 months, we're going to have a halving event where the block rewards in Bitcoin get cut in half. And so when that occurs, the price has to double. And historically, that's exactly what happens. So the fair value will go from low 50s to, let's call it an even 100K. So between now and probably right after the halving, we probably migrate toward that 100K. So for me, by middle of next summer, 100K seems like a pretty even money bet. But then something weird happens, Jason. In every previous halving cycle, the investors come in now when the price at 26,000 is below the fair value, and we start accumulating. Okay, then when it gets to fair value, we still accumulate, but we accumulate less fast. Well, then the halving occurs, fair value goes up, so we'll keep accumulating. As you approach fair value, the price starts to accelerate. And that brings in the speculators and ultimately the gamblers. And if they bring leverage, that's when we get these parabolic moves. So back, in the last cycle, the fair value was 30. We got all the way to 70. That was crazy. We should never be at 70. And so we had the crash. And so we get this series of kind of flat movements, parabolic moves, and crashes. And everybody during the crash says, oh, it's going to die. It's over. But then if you step back and you look at the 14 years, we keep making higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. And so we went from zero 14 years ago to $500 billion today, a little over. And eventually that $1 million number that Cathie comes up with, is very feasible. I don't think it's going to happen in the next 2 years or 5 years, but if you think about gold being money. The problem with gold, if I had a brick of gold here and I wanted to break it in half and give you half, the problem is I'm not strong enough to break it, so it's not very divisible. And I can't stuff it in the computer and send it to you. It's not very portable. So what's better than that? Well, Bitcoin's better than that. It's actually equally scarce to gold based on stock to flow models. So as it replaces gold as the base layer of money, which I believe will happen, gold has been it for 5,000 years. The next 5,000 will be Bitcoin. As that happens, the monetary value of gold is about 5.5 trillion. Okay. So at 5.5 trillion divided by, kind of 20-ish million Bitcoins, you can get to a price of about 250K, right? All right, 250K sounds pretty good. Well, then where you go towards this million and say, well, but we could go beyond just the base layer of money.
What's the valuation now of all of Bitcoin?
All of Bitcoin today is about 500 billion.
Okay.
That would take it to 5 trillion, so about a 10x from here.
The digital arm of Morgan Creek Capital has launched 4 funds that invest in the digital ecosystem in what Yusko calls the ABCDs of the sector: artificial intelligence, blockchain, chips, and data. The funds have raised around $500 million in 5 years, with investments in around 30 companies per fund. This includes seed rounds, Series A, and follow-on investments in various companies. Yusko said that the investments range in size from $100,000 to $75 million and everything in between. Crypto enthusiasts think investing in crypto right now is like buying the internet protocols in 1996, a massive comparison to the nascent technology. Yusko said investors can own the protocols and the top and middle of the pyramid. At the top of the pyramid are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's direct our attention towards the few clips from interview.
To date, probably our biggest investment actually is Bitcoin itself, Liquid Protocol. We bought it in 2018. We've never sold any of it. We won't sell any of it for a long time. And we view it as a venture capital investment. Back then it was a Series B-ish. Today it would be more like a Series D maybe. Still lots of upside, but not as much as there was 5 years ago.
And that's Bitcoin itself.
Yeah, Bitcoin itself as the protocol. And the reason is, if you go back to the internet, right? We were early investors in the internet, in companies like Yahoo and eBay and Google. And the problem was the only way you could invest in the internet was in the application layer. No one can own TCP/IP. You and I are using it right now. It's gold, but you can't own it. And you can't own FTP to transfer files, and you can't own HTTPS for web pages or www. You can't own it. In the digital age, this new protocol stack, Bitcoin is, I believe, the base layer like TCP/IP. Ethereum's kind of like the www. You can own those protocols, and about 80% of the value created in the ecosystem has accrued to the protocols. Only about 20% to companies like Coinbase and Kraken and Gemini and things like that. And we've invested in both, but most of the big wealth so far has been created by the protocols. In the TruthNet era, you can own the protocols. Now you also want to own the companies. Equity is good. One of the challenges of protocols is there's this pyramid of protocols. And I say it's always it's like Saudi politics. There's the king, the crown prince, and all the other princes that hate each other. There are thousands of princes in Saudi. Only 2 really matter, the king and the crown prince. Same thing. There's Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then all the other princes that hate each other. Now, below the actual things like Solana and Avalanche and Cosmos and Optimism, below that, the Doge and the Shiba, there's just dog shit everywhere that has no use, no meaning. Yep. It's literally just trading sardines. And eventually we'll all go to zero. But something in that middle layer will probably ascend and become pretty interesting things. And what I can't figure out, Jason, is I have this mental model that if we take the 5 protocols of the internet, right? TCP/IP at the bottom, FTP, HTTPS, SMTP, www. Okay, good. In the next age, Web3, is it Bitcoin, Filecoin like FTP, Ethereum like www dot? Is it Cosmos? Is it Polkadot? Is it Solana? Is it Avalanche? I don't know. They're kind of duking it out. There's a great panel down in Austin at Permissionless with, the optimism and the Cosmos and the Cosmos and Solana guys really, went at each other.
The recent upswing has allowed Bitcoin to break free from a short-term corrective trend line, signaling a bullish breakout. This shift disrupts the recent pattern of lower highs in BTC's price and puts it in contention with the 50 and 200-day EMAs. The next halving is around the corner and investors are anticipating a Bitcoin price rally, but is it even going to happen? That wraps up our conversation for today. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this information valuable, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel to stay informed with the latest news and videos. Thanks for joining us.